And a 10 scrap puppet. This animatronic is probably the least frightening on this list. I've used a lot of puppets in the past for scary animatronics, and hell, I even talked about this version during the top 10 FNAF puppet facts video, but this is the most lame out of today's bunch. The scrap puppet was created by TFE Arts on DeviantArt and is really giving me some Venom symbiote vibes with all the tendrils coming off the back. They are clearly meant to be present in FNAF 6 since they're at the review table, and the only time we see scrap animatronics outside of Ultimate Custom Night is FNAF 6. So this is clearly meant to be the start of the jump scare while trying to salvage them. The glowing green eyes are creepy, and the overall just ruined look really sets me on edge, especially with this man juicing. Look at those pecs, they're bigger than my arms. And at 9, Corrupted Bonnie. I have a theory that you can put any creepy adjective in front of a FNAF character and someone has made that character come to life. For example, Corrupted Bonnie by WITHERED on DeviantArt. We all know how I feel about spiders, especially if you watched my last Forever Nightmare video. Link to that in the top right corner if you want to check that out, because oh my god. Anyway, this animatronic takes the word arachnophobia and just embeds it into the void where my soul should be. No. It goes into the depths of hell from which it came and embeds arachnophobia into my soul that the devil has had for years. This guy has 2 giant fangs, 7 lights in his eye, plenty of more teeth around his mouth, 5 arms, 2 legs, and a partridge in a pear tree, who I'm hiding behind because holy living crap, if this thing existed in real life, I don't think I'd survive. I can picture it moving like Ballora. Oh my god, make it stop. And at 8, Corrupted Springtrap. Continuing on the corrupted train, we have Corrupted Springtrap by, you guessed it, Ruthoranium on DeviantArt. While being scarier than most animatronics I've seen, the image I was able to find of Corrupted Springtrap was lit in a way that doesn't really let you see it. It makes for a scary image, that's why I'm not saying it's poorly lit, but it makes it difficult to make out the details, which could be what Ruthoranium had intended this time. This version of good old Willie Afton has horrific fangs and teeth, not unlike those of Corrupted Bonnie, but they're much less pronounced. Springtrap also has spikes coming out of his arm, kinda like Harry Osborn's arm, like metal blade thing from Spider-Man 3. You know, the best Spider-Man movie? Springtrap has glowing white eyes and is ready to rip your face off and then probably eat it. My question is, how is Springtrap corrupted? Like, he's already killed at least like a boat's worth of kids at this point and then been possessed by one of them, so like, how corrupt can one man get? And at 7, HELLSPAWN. Another entry into the list of evidence as to why I think you can add any scary adjective to a FNAF character and you get a fan-made creation. To this one I typed in HELLSPAWN Freddy, and while I did find one, I also found HELLSPAWN by Joy VA on Amino. I don't know if that stands for something or if it's just a section of their name, but that's the only part that wasn't a hashtag, so I'll call them that. HELLSPAWN is very reminiscent of Jackal Bonnie with a glowing interior and a nightmarish aesthetic. However, this time the glow is blue, kinda like a blue flame that's powering this animatronic like it's the soul of the child who was brutally killed by William Afton. At least that's why I think that it has the name of HELLSPAWN. Why do you think he has that name? Let me know below. And at 6, Nightmare Toy Chica. If you think that Toy Chica is the tastiest FNAF animatronic, you'll be questioning yourself after seeing this iteration of the character. Nightmare Toy Chica was created by YouTube user ChristianX2099 on their channel. This video, aptly named Speed Edit Making Nightmare Toy Chica, is actually very impressive. This was uploaded December 5th, 2015, so this character has been floating around the internet for a while. There aren't any real quarrels I have with the design aside from the fact that I didn't really need a tooth coming out of her cheek. Like, it's obviously up to the one designing them, and I couldn't do anything this cool to save my life, but the tooth doesn't really seem to belong there. It's just like it was put there instead of breaking out through the cheek, which from what I saw in this video, they could have easily done. Either way, with or without that cheek tooth, it's still the scariest version of Toy Chica. I don't think I want her to come over anymore. I might need to call her and cancel. Halfway through at number 5, Phantasmagoric Ignited Foxy. The Phantasmagoric Ignited Foxy hails from the Joy of Creation universe, the game that I always like to come back to when I'm looking for scary animatronics. This world is messed up, sis. In this story you play as Scott Cawthon, who was retired from the FNAF franchise and released the final game. However, the animatronics don't like that, so instead of being put to rest because, you know, they're dead fictional characters, they manifest in the real world and go after him. Phantasmagoric means having a deceptive appearance, something shared between this version of Foxy and all my exes, but But literally, this version of Foxy is just a load of lights that are similar to when you fight the demons in the Dark Dream world in Spider-Man on the PS4. It's creepy as hell, and if I saw this thing running at me, I would book it in the other direction. No thank you, sir. And at 4, Prototype Foxy. While Mangle is an actual character, the design of the character isn't exactly like the Mangle we all know and love. 12. This one is hella scary. Sinister Turmoil Sewers is what the game Sinister Turmoil was supposed to be. However, the full game was abandoned and what was completed was released as Sewers. The game features prototype Foxy as the main antagonist, who is following you around a sewerscape while you try and find keys. Seems very similar to something that would come a couple games later, doesn't it? I genuinely believe this game was the inspiration for the Foxy Corn Maze minigame in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, but that's aside the point. The Mangle is creepy and always knows where you are, which only makes things worse, but it's the cupcake alarm that really makes it even more terrifying. The cupcake is like the crows from the Curse of Dreadbear. It lets Mangle know where you are, and like And at 3, WITHERED GLITCHTRAP. Created by Shadow Foxy on Amino, this iteration of GLITCHTRAP is a little bit weird since GLITCHTRAP isn't meant to be an animatronic and is instead just William Afton in a suit, but hey, it's fan art, they can have their own canon, and honestly, looking at this scares the hell out of me, okay? I hate GLITCHTRAP, he's such a creepy character. Scott really did a good job when designing him, but then removing the fabric and cutting off the ears is just freaking horrific. It's the perfect combination of scary and gross, and it works so well. Even if the right side of the character is the only one affected, it's still just really off-putting, and like the little tiny pupil with no iris, I can't, okay? No. And at 2, SPRINGTRAP. SPRINGTRAP was meant to appear in the FNAF fan game DISMANTLED, another game I love to come back to in order to find scary animatronics. There wasn't much planned for SPRINGTRAP, but he was present in the DISMANTLED beta. Modeled by Golden Nexus, SPRINGTRAP is a green version of what seems to be SPRINGTRAP, with similar proportions of the head. However, this game was released before FNAF 6 to my knowledge, so that's probably just a coincidence. SPRINGTRAP's head is backwards, meaning that he walks backwards while looking at you, and this was planned to be a part of his minigame, since it would then be possible to make him stumble and trip, causing him to be stunned. Like, the character appears to be a springlock victim, but with not much remaining on the inside, so it's kind of up in the air. However, you can see scratches and tears on the outside, like with all the worn down animatronics. Someone needs to use better fabric, okay? Just go to like Fabricland or something, I don't know. Is Fabricland good? I don't. Finally, in at number 1, Scrap GLITCHTRAP. Scrap GLITCHTRAP genuinely made me nearly scream when I first saw him. Created by user T_Springer666 on Reddit using assets from Chuiza Productions and Elite Robo, this monstrosity was shared on the FNAF Reddit 9 months ago and has since been archived. The glowing red eyes with the combination of all the wires and missing parts is absolutely horrific, and the arrangement of those wires to look like intestines and like a heart around the torso is incredible. GLITCHTRAP not being an animatronic aside, this thing is just beautiful. The hand replaced with the freaking fan? Is that what that is? I don't know. Even if it's not the fan, it's still the scariest thing imaginable. The ripped purple vest and the blood-soaked bow tie make everything just that much more unsettling. And at 10, Dismantled Spring Bonnie. Think Nightmare Fredbear but Bonnie, and you have Dismantled Spring Bonnie. Coming from the game Fredbear's Fright, Dismantled Spring Bonnie is honestly terrifying because of the similarity to Nightmare Fredbear. By similarity, I'm talking about the bulkiness and the color scheme. I know that Nightmare Fredbear is based on the Spring Freddy animatronic, but we never see a Spring Bonnie aside from William inside of Springtrap, so based on that Bonnie, it's fairly skinny. Now, in no case do I consider Bonnie to be a scary animatronic, but even without the stomach, mouth, and extremely sharp teeth, Spring Bonnie still puts me on edge and gives me those heebie-jeebies. The ruined hand and the missing arm section just makes this animatronic something that really knows how to get to you. And considering how this is the first animatronic you see since it's there from night 1 makes it all the more terrifying, especially to those who are afraid of Bonnie. So I'm sorry that I showed you this. And 9, Shadow Candy. The wonderful world of Shadow Animatronics. The Shadow Animatronics were a big part of Five Nights 3, becoming almost main protagonists when they were part of the minigames. However, Shadow Candy from Five Nights at Candy's is freaking spooky. Especially in Five Nights at Candy's 3, which is more like the FNAF 4 of the series, with essentially nightmare versions of these animatronics. It also looks like the FNAF 3 version of Shadow Candy is like some buff helpy of this universe. And if you don't know who buff helpy is, you're lucky, I'm sorry for bringing it up. The dark purple solid color is very interesting, but it also is very intense and makes details harder to make out, making Candy appear more like a shadow. The lack of detail just also makes these things scarier. Like, have you seen a Skyrim dragon when the textures don't fully load? It's literal nightmare fuel. It doesn't even have eyes, it's just like one thing. Especially if you have the Macho Man Randy Savage Dragon mod, oh god. And at 8, HAVOC Chica. While having all the similar parts to her original counterpart, HAVOC Chica is one of the scariest versions of Chica out there. Hailing from the kingdom of Dormitibus, her bright yellow color scheme has been desaturated, bringing in more of an unsettling feeling, and there is also various orange spots around her. Her head has a whole lot of damage done to it, and it appears as if her limbs have been extended. The wires of the various areas of the animatronic are exposed as well, even more so than withered Chica. Wires coming out of wherever they can, and the severe damage dealt to her body makes Chica look absolutely horrific. The walking animation alone, which can be found in the extras menu of the game, or as a GIF on our Domitabus fandom wiki page, is just terrifying. The scariest version of Chica to me was Chica, but this knocks that out of the park and makes it look like a children's toy, which I guess technically it is. And at 7, Burnt Freddy. Burnt Freddy is a carbonized version of Withered Freddy. He is a rusty and badly burnt bear with a top hat and bow tie and 2 buttons on his chest, like normal Freddy. However, Burnt Freddy has a large hole in the left side of his head. That reveals some of his endoskeleton. He has no eyes and is missing his right chin, so he ends up crawling instead of walking. His appearance actually reminds me of the dark mode of Freddy's animatronic repair in Help Wanted. His texture is very burnt, obviously, and basically looks like how you would expect a burnt Freddy to look. It looks terrifying, since Freddy is to me the scariest out of the original 4 animatronics, and just the idea of it burning and the revenant not melting is really scary and shows that not everything can have a simple answer. We know that damn well when it comes to this series. You can't just burn away the souls of the children you killed, you need to deal with the consequences. And at 6, Ignited Bonnie. Ignited Bonnie from the Joy of Creation is one creepy dude. Looking like even more of a withered version of Withered Bonnie from FNAF 2, Ignited Bonnie still has the appearance of Bonnie, but is missing most of the skin, and has a majority of its endoskeleton exposed. Entirely missing a left arm, Ignited Bonnie still has those signature red eyes that we've all come to know and fear from our favorite withered animatronic. This version is also missing covering for its torso and its right arm, as well as its right shin. The exposed endoskeleton makes this extremely unsettling, and it makes me wonder, for those who are scared of Bonnie, does Ignited Bonnie missing most of the features of normal Bonnie make it easier to handle or make it worse? Let me know in the comments because I'm really curious. Halfway through number 5, Creation. Creation from the Joy of Creation is a mix of all ignited animatronics. It's basically the Ennard of this game. A combination of ignited Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And since it has their parts, it also has their powers. Creation's upper head belongs to Freddy, missing both ears. Lower jaw belongs to Bonnie. The body and limbs are exposed endoskeleton parts, and it seemingly has 4 arms, 2 of them lacking hands. The absurd spider-like design of the animatronic aside, the glowing red eyes combined with the missing body and covering everywhere but the face is horrifying in the worst of ways. This guy has desaturated the entire set of suit parts, which makes everything even worse because, like, no color makes things scary. Fun fact, I actually use this when I'm making thumbnails for these videos. I make quite a few of the thumbnails for this channel, and when I need to make a photo look scarier, I just desaturate the image. Therefore, if they do that with the animatronics, it will easily make it more effective. Now it can just jump scare you, and you're screwed. Yeah. And at 4, Monster Rat. Hailing from Five Nights at Candy's 3, the Monster Rat is one of the scariest rats I've ever seen, aside from CGI Master Splinter. Monster Rat's proportions resemble that of a human, even with the giant ears, pointy fingernails, stitched parts, and long tongue, but I mean, Miley Cyrus also has all that. Monster Rat is also shredded more than the cheese I put on my tacos. This rat is so yoked he makes eggs look like they need more protein. His subscription to whey protein must pay the company's expenses alone. And that tail! While slightly sexy, the tail is also freaking terrifying. I'm also kidding, I don't find the tail slightly sexy. Keyword being slightly. Speaking of sexy, in FNAF 3, Monster Rat starts outside of the bedroom, and if the player hears thumping and sometimes knocking, it means he's either at the door, in the wardrobe, or in the closet. It's okay, we're an accepting community. The player must shine their flashlight at these locations in order to force him back. If you don't do this, you'll enter the bedroom and stay at one of the 3 locations in the room. Hopefully the bed. And basically, you need to shine the flashlight in his eyes or you'll have to deal with a night of passion and lust. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. None of my feelings towards him are true. Getting close to the end at number 3, Reaper Puppet. Here we are, the one you all knew would be included on this list, at least if you watched any other FNAF video when I mentioned this creepy animatronic. If you haven't heard of him, I was first introduced to him when I was researching the top 10 scariest FNAF animatronics list, and I wanted to include a fan character at number 10. He's also in the thumbnail for that video. But when I found the Reaper Puppet, I was incredibly terrified, and honestly, fearful of what I'd end up seeing. The Reaper Puppet is a really screwed up version of the puppet we all know, the one who gave life to the other animatronic. And if you think that the puppet walking towards you in VR is creepy, the Reaper Puppet climbs over the railing of your hospital room balcony in the most disturbing way I can ever think possible. He's like, you know, it's weird. It is one of the most terrifying moments in the Final Night series to me, and this is a game where you basically need to actually sleep to pass time. If you're awake and defending yourself, time doesn't pass. It's terrifying and the most intense moment of the series in my opinion, because like, Jesus. Lord Jesus Crisp, please. I'm starting a new religion, the cheese religion. Praise the holy Jesus. Holy Jesus Crisp. I'll stop. And to Fright. Fredbear's Fright's Fright animatronic is a misshapen and deformed animatronic composed of elements of the other animatronics. Great! Another frickin' amalgamation. And when I say amalgamation, I mean that in the most literal sense of the word. Fright decided it would be a good idea to use different animatronic parts like dismantled Spring Bonnie's torso, but goes so far as using different forearms. Yeah, forearms. But then has no protection over other parts, just like being a naked endoskeleton. Their face is just horrific. It's inset and looks like it melted away, exposing the specific parts of the face, like the teeth, nose, and eyes. But they're human-looking features. You know what? He legit looks like the man on the moon from Morty's Mind Blowers. You know, the episode they did instead of Interdimensional Cable? You know, the one that Morty thought was stalking him, but was from the moon. And then the principal thought that he was just touching people inappropriately and then beat him up, and then the teacher killed himself. But then he turned out to just be a smudge on his telescope, so Rick removed a memory. Yeah, that's the face this guy has, and those teeth are worse than the original CGI Sonics. I said it. Finally, in at number 1, HAVOC Puppet. HAVOC Puppet is formed by a cracked and distorted version of the puppet's original mask in the Dormitibus universe. However, this mask is missing the lower half. The head has a hole above the mouth, seemingly acting like a nose. And we all thought Voldemort was lacking in the nasal department. It has 2 white dots acting as pupils and its empty eye sockets. Coming out of the mouth are 7 black tentacles. 3 in the front, 4 in the back, like some messed up mullet. This form of even more messed up arachnid that should have never been allowed to exist is just disgusting. Like, even Satan would see this thing and be like, yeah, not a chance in, well, hell. The middle front tentacle looks to be like a tongue, with the ones next to it operating as legs, the outermost ones working as arms, and the other 2 work as if they were tails. Why on earth would you make this ungodly thing? Actually, screw ungodly, this thing is unsatanly. Satan is afraid of this thing. I can hear the satanic temple quaking with just the mere mention of this thing. The HAVOC Puppet appears night 4, so if I ever play this game, I'm ending it at night 3. I'm arachnophobic and thought that the Reaper Puppet was bad. And at 10, Chuck E. Cheese. No, I'm not kidding. Someone actually made Chuck E. Cheese canon in the FNAF fan world. I don't know what particular game it comes from, if any. I just saw him on the FNAF RP fandom wiki page. He is just a recolored Freddy Fazbear and doesn't really have any other images in the FNAF world other than that one, but I'm sure you know what he looks like. Apparently, Chucky got sent to Freddy's as a guest star, but also ended up moving around at night. Well, currently, since CEC, the parent company to Chuck E. Cheese, reportedly filed for bankruptcy due to the current pandemic, which is still going on, so remember to wear a mask outside, by the way, or just in public in general. We might actually see this come true. There have also been reports of children going missing and the animatronics moving after hours, but those stories aren't true, guys. They're just fans finding ways to make life imitate the grisly murder of like 15 plus children, and I don't understand why. I don't think that's a good idea. And to anyone saying that the closed Chuck E. Cheeses should be redesigned to be Freddy Fazbear locations, okay, mind me screwing up, do you really think that's a good idea with how many kids got stuffed? And nobody would open that during a pandemic. Come on. And at 9, Reaper Mangle. Reaper Mangle is absolutely terrifying, unlike our last number who was just topical and scary because of the circumstance. Reaper Mangle comes from Final Nights 3 and 4, but I want to focus on the Final Nights 4 version, since that one is actually scary. The one from the 3rd game just kind of looks like a Lego Duplo version of Mangle. In the 4th game, Mangle's face appears to be melted and decaying as if it was chewing gum, but that gum was its face. And there's basically no other exterior shell on this thing. Slightly on his left arm, but oh my god! Honestly, you can only tell that this is Mangle because of the name and its color scheme. Other than that, if someone looked at this only knowing Mangle by their appearance from FNAF 2 briefly, it would take them a little while to realize it before they actually knew who it was meant to be. The Reaper animatronics are terrifying, but get far worse than Final Nights 4. Number 8, the BOA. The BOA is basically like another form of Mangle, but this time hailing from the Dormitibus universe. I say this is Mangle-like because of the multiple heads and exposed endoskeleton connecting them all. The 2018 updated version is far more horrific than the original version because it just seems smaller. I don't know why, but animatronics that can kill me by biting my ankles off just puts me off in a different way when compared to something like Foxy or Dreadbear, who could just crush me with a clap. Like the little Freddy's, PLUSHTRAP, and the Plush Babies? No, 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 no. And this thing doesn't make it any better, considering now it has 5 heads. The heads of Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Mangle, Balloon Boy, and Toy Chica. Mommy, no. But it also has the hook from Foxy just chillin', ready to tear your face open and lay eggs inside your brain. Okay, I don't know, the story for de minimis is really messed up and I don't quite understand it all, so I don't really know what these things want to do. Oh, and don't worry, this isn't the only de minimis animatronic on this list. And it's 7, Ignited Chica. Ignited Chica comes from the joy of creation, one of the most terrifying FNAF fan games ever. Scott's lucky he didn't make this game, because if he did, nobody would have ever played it. Out of just sheer fear. I don't know how you horror junkies do it, okay? Like, why do you like being scared? It's supposed to be a bad thing. It's supposed to let you know to get the hell out of Dodge. Anyway, Ignited Chica is similar to the other Ignited animatronics, just a more decayed and rundown version of the original. And while Eddie may not be able to get with this one, there is a clear reason why. The jaw is gone, leaving only the top of the beak and a load of exposed wire. Half of her left arm is gone, and her entire right arm is gone aside from a little bit of endoskeleton. And look at those feet! Like, oh man, Chica, I can see your WikiFeet score going down already! Okay, honestly, probably not going down. There are a lot of people who really like weird stuff. I'm not kink shaming, it's not weird to them. Only people with a conscience. Moving on, and it's 6, Scrap Puppet. I don't know why, but every single version of the puppet intended to be scary gives me the heebie-jeebies. First, the Reaper puppet when I talked about it in the first FNAF Scariest Animatronics list, and honestly the inspiration behind this series of lists. And then the HAVOC puppet from the first part of this series. And now we have Scrap Puppet. This was only a concept in fan art and doesn't actually appear in any game, but that wasn't the criteria, okay? This isn't the top 10 scariest FNAF fan animatronics that appeared in games part 3, although that is a good idea. No, it's just fan animatronics, and while some people may not be able to make a game with their creations, they can still draw them and give me nightmares for all of eternity. The particular image I found has what looks like the beginning of a Scrap Puppet jump scare when you're salvaging them in FNAF 6, but obviously it isn't the actual game, because, like, Puppet was captured by Lefty. But this just sets me on edge, with the tentacles coming out of it and that creepy smile. Oh my god, I don't know if it's setting me on edge or edging me with those tentacles. I mean, like, Food Wars did it, right? Why can't I make a joke about it? Halfway through at number 5, Reaper Balloon Boy. Reaper Balloon Boy looks terrifying in both Final Nights 3 and 4, the only games in which he makes an appearance. In Final Nights 3, he looks like I will after quarantine with his huge right-handed forearm. But as I said with Reaper Mangle, Final Nights 4 is where the creep factor gets dialed up to 11. His face is melting, and hell, even his balloon is showing endoskeleton. And the propellers on his hat are just going nuts. The right hand of Doom got run over by a truck, and his left hand looks like me trying to use chopsticks, but at least you can tell it's still Balloon Boy. Despite the messed up attributes, I can't help but get weirded out by this thing. I swear as I was writing this and I had the picture up on my screen, I saw him move towards me and then back away as I moved my eyes back. It's a horrifying experience and I really need to make sure I'm doing okay, because I swear to god he just tilted his head right now. I get his head is tilted to the right, but come on! Also, anytime I refer to their direction, I mean from their point of view. Yeah, I learned my lesson after Bonnie. And at 4, Garvey. While I stand by the fact that Springtrap is not an animatronic, I'm allowed to say that Garvey is because it's a fan game, not canon to the series, and I still don't quite understand the story of Dermitibus. Garvey is basically the Springtrap of this game, and while he may not sound like much, holy crap! Just one look at him and you'll be wishing you wore your brown pants. In my case, you scared me so bad I need black pants. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. Just think, Springtrap but actually an animatronic, with an even more decayed exterior and just more horror and gore all around. I don't know if the body of the guy who actually got inside him is inside, I mean that could just be something else, but there happens to be a lot of exposed flesh and blood when talking about this animatronic. Like, if this guy came anywhere close to the ocean, even without touching the water, the sharks would be lining up single file for a taste. This is by far one of, if not the darkest and most gruesome fan animatronic to ever be created. Hell, it's even more dark and gruesome than the canon FNAF animatronics. Getting close to the end at number 3, Ignited Foxy. Ignited Foxy is similar to normal Foxy, but only with a pelvis, thighs, and forearm and a head. Ignited Foxy comes from the joy of creation, the same as Ignited Chica, but Foxy is even worse. Normal Foxy looks pretty torn up considering how he's a pirate and everything, but the Ignited version is missing an ear and most of his flesh. Can I call it flesh? Should I call it flesh? Or should I be calling it flesh? He's missing most of his shell, both lower leg section, his left upper arm, and his right lower arm, as well as his feet and chest are missing as well. But the hook is still there. It had to be. How else is he gonna make those 1000-degree knife hook through eyeball videos if he loses it? His eyes glow white, and I honestly don't know if you'll still love Foxy as much after seeing this, because it is some terrifying crap, man. Holy hell. Would I get kicked out of heaven for saying that? Or would I get kicked out of hell for saying that? Oh boy, I don't know anything anymore, okay? Just next number. And at 2, HAVOC Freddy. What the f is this thing? This thing has to be the most confusing form of Freddy we have ever seen in any version of the game. St. Patty's Day Freddy? Normal. Icicle Freddy? Normal compared to this. What the hell is this thing? He looks like an even more canine version of Mangle with Foxy's arm in his mouth, holding a sign that says I look like a toaster with a slice of bread. And that's no joke, I'm actually serious. He's holding an arm that is holding a sign that says it looks like a toaster with a piece of bread. What? If the sheer confusion isn't enough to put you off, it's missing an eye, even though it has another head attached to it that looks like it had both of its eyes ripped out. Go find those eyes, bro! Just go find them! What the hell is this thing? Can you tell that this series of games and fan games is driving me crazy? At this point, we've done more FNAF videos than Matt had, so I really understand how he feels. Plus, there's a whole secret in FNAF VR that we haven't even discovered yet, and I have no idea what it could be. Actually, I have kind of an idea. But what and where is it? Finally, in number 1, WITHERED GLITCHTRAP. You can fight me all you want about my opinions on SPRINGTRAP, but there is no way you can fight me on the fact that GLITCHTRAP isn't an animatronic. Firstly, he's just game code with no real-world equivalent aside from William Afton. Secondly, he's literally just a suit. You can tell by the fabric, the different design to the body we know, and the stitching around his joints. But this version of GLITCHTRAP, known as WITHERED GLITCHTRAP by Shadow Foxy on Amino, is designed to be an animatronic, therefore counts for this list. This thing is terrifying. I've always had a soft spot for GLITCHTRAP because, like, I hate things that give me a creepy bear vibe, if you know what I mean. You know, that's an old meme, but it checks out. It's about a specific bear that may have candy in his white windowless van. Anyway, I hate those kinds of things, and the way GLITCHTRAP just stands there and waves and then just slowly gets closer to you as the player who is playing as a child, as indicated by your height when you load up the game, just doesn't sit right with me. Hence why I avoid picking up tapes, because I know it will summon him. Now, with all of that said, this version is worse, okay? The actual withered appearance along with the desaturation of the costume and the exposed endoskeleton is too much for me. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I think I might be done.
Number 10, Doug. Have you ever wondered what a terrifying animatronic version of the dog from Pixar's Up would be like? Well, whether or not you have, here you go. That was the inspiration for this fan-made animatronic. I think one of the most frightening things about this one is the rectangular eye holes. There's just something so different about that, it just freaks me out. Like, the eye holes are rectangular, but the eyes are like an oval. And I'm like, that's so much extra space. Number 9, Torture Kitty. So although the fan-made game that Torture Kitty was meant to appear in was never finished, I still feel like she is so terrifying just in her texture alone that we need to talk about her. Her skin color looks almost like cork or Play-Doh, but it also kind of just reminds me of like ground up meat or somewhat molten flesh, just based on the pink pale color that it has. Her eyes look like their sockets were carved out, and her eyes themselves glow an intense orange. She wears a dark, shiny red hat and brandishes a gold-tipped cane, all the better to beat you with, likely, if you were to run into her in the actual game. Not that that'll ever happen. Number 8, FUNTIME PLAZA Freddy. This fan-made version of Freddy is darker and is missing one eye, but it is also covered in glow-in-the-dark neon stars. Literally, they look like they're attached. In fact, it's really the glow-in-the-dark and sort of neon aspects that really made him so alarming to me. There's something about not being able to fully see, having limited visibility, but still being aware of something coming for you in the dark that always gets to me. The neon on this version just gives me those feels. It's like I know you're there, but I can't quite see you. Number 7, Chica fan art. So while we already have a withered Chica in the actual world of FNAF, who is pretty terrifying, there is also fan-made versions of her, who are even more frightening than her official withered self. One fan-made version of withered Chica had her arms gone from the shoulders down, as opposed to just her hands gone. She also has darkened eyes and no beak, with tiny teeth just just visible in the dark hole that is her mouth. And there are countless other fan-made versions of Withered Chica that are even more terrifying than the original. Not to mention, there is a lot of suggestive artwork involving her, which is also just strange and terrifying to stumble upon. Not even like in a scary sense, just in a why does Chica have to be sexy sense? What's happening? People like her a little too much, I think, is what's going on. Number 6, Ghoul Balloon Boy. So while this version of Balloon Boy only appears briefly in the fan-made Return to Freddy's and is only a hallucination, he remains pretty terrifying looking. First of all, he looks worn down and somewhat dirty. He's missing an eye and his mouth almost has like little stitch marks around it despite being completely open. So I don't know what's going on there. Was his mouth stitched and then he opened it and he just pulled through the stitches and oh, I just thought of something gross. Blah. From the tilt of his head to what appears to be a hammer in his bloody little hand, this Balloon Boy would even likely terrify the original Balloon Boy. Who would win in a BB off? Number 5, Helper the Bird. Obsolete is a fan-made FNAF spin-on game. Also, I gotta say, design-wise, it's pretty looking. I mean, as far as horror survivals go. It's pretty. The animatronics featured in this game are original. One of them is known as Helper the Bird. Instead of the game taking place at Freddy's Pizzeria, the game actually takes place at a different family restaurant featuring animatronics known as Stumpy's Playhouse. Wow, what a name. When Helper's eyes turn from green to red, the terrifying bird who hides somewhat in the shadows in the corner of the room will attack you. You play a terrifying game of hide and seek with Helper and the other animatronics at the restaurant. You also get to play a little mini game in it. Number 4, Scrap Ballora. This fan-made version of Ballora reimagines her with 3 spindly metallic legs, almost like a spider. Her hands are reimagined as claws with razor-sharp nails attached, and her face looks as if it has melted or rusted away somewhat. She appears to also be used as a pin cushion, with big pins sticking out of her shoulders and head. But for some reason, the thing I find most disturbing about this design is her almost lack of a nose. She has just this really small, smooshed-looking nose that just creeps me out. Why are we as humans so freaked out by a lack of nose on a face? Why does that make weird things happen in my brain? I don't know, but there is a tipping point from just really cute, like small noses to just plain out creepiness when something is too small on your face. The other scary thing about Ballora is how much artwork there is focusing on making her look sexy. Why is there so much artwork about this, guys? What is happening? People always wanting to try. I get wanting to make the animatronics look cute, but there's a line. People are crossing it. Number 3, Freak Show Ballora. So, what could be more scary than Ballora with multiple metallic sharp legs? How about a Ballora with multiple arms? This version of Freak Show Ballora combines multiple arms that end in claw-like wiry hands with an overall withered look, including a particularly disturbing withered mouth, to give you a nightmarish sight. Seriously though, this version of Ballora looks so worn down and almost insight-like, ain't nobody can make this version of her look sexy. To any designers that are watching, that's not a challenge, by the way. Please do not send me links to artwork of a Freak Show Ballora that looks sexy. I don't need it. But also if you have it, I will click it, I'm not gonna lie. Number 2, Scrap Bonnie. So there are a few different fan-made versions of Scrap Bonnie, but this one is by far one of the most terrifying. This fan-made Scrap Bonnie imagines the animatronic armed with an axe that replaces its right arm. It has bright purple eyes, a hole in its chest that reveals a glowing endoskeleton, and exposed wire on its left arm that looks as though it has metal claws. Not a version of Bonnie that seems very family-friendly. This Bonnie would likely be resorted to staying in the dark and backstage, only coming out at night to try and, I guess, chop up the player and stuff them in a suit with its axe arm? Yikes. Some of these designs I'm always like, would this be for a family restaurant though? Like, why did this get made? Number 1, Withered Puppet. Okay, so Puppet has always been the most terrifying animatronic to me. And this version, well, it really just kills me. It takes it to a whole other level. And I mean, if I ever met this version of Puppet, I'm sure that it would actually kill me too, because it's terrifying. This is a withered version we have yet to see in the games. The puppet's face is all torn, and its body looks as though it has been somewhat grinded up, with lots of wires sticking out of it. The teeth in its mouth I find equally disturbing. Its wires also seem to be red and blue, unless that's just the lighting, but it still seems to be holding on to a few buttons on its chest somehow, despite having no external skin really on its waist, just a bunch of exposed wire. Don't look at me. Don't look at me, puppet. Ah!